So I'm sitting in the makeup chair, or what they called a makeup chair, which was really just a folding lawn chair wedged between a pile of old lumber and a suspiciously damp wall in what could only be described as a glorified broom closet, somewhere on the very furthest, dustiest periphery of the old Warner Brothers ranch lot. You remember that little hovel, Conchata? The one they'd stick us supporting players in, especially if you were, shall we say, of a certain vintage and not expected to emote anything beyond bemused neighbor. The air was thick with the scent of stale coffee and desperation. I swear, the only ventilation was the ghost of a prop master's forgotten cigarette.
Yeah, I remember it. That wasn't Warner Brothers. That was the Bakersfield Annex. They rented from some expired pet food company off the 101. Smell wasn't coffee, Cloris. That was the glue from the carpet samples they used for soundproofing. And the desperation? That was just the permanent resident. A family of particularly resilient field mice. They always gave you the trailer next to the generator, didn't they? So you could hear every single hum and whine, like a lullaby from hell.
Oh, the generator! Yes! It pulsed through the very marrow of my bones, making every line delivery feel like a seismic event. And the catering, Conchata. They'd bring us this congealed substance they called chicken-a-lay king. I think the king they were referring to was the one who presided over a junkyard, and they'd serve it on paper plates so flimsy they'd weep under the weight of a single pallid pea. They just assumed we'd be grateful for anything, wouldn't they? Us, character actors, tucked away from the glamorous main set, as if our performances didn't require the same sustenance.
Yeah. And the coffee tasted like they filtered it through a horse blanket. Remember that one time on the Touched by an Angel set, Burbank lot, not the Annex? They had a whole catering spread for the main cast. Fresh-baked salmon, organic greens. And for the rest of us, tucked behind the old prop warehouse, a single tray of what looked like day-old tuna melts. Except the tuna was gray. Gray, Cloris, like it had seen things.
Gray tuna. My God, the indignity. It's like they believed the less glamorous the role, the less glamorous the gourmet experience. I swear, I developed a pathological aversion to anything served buffet style for years. But look, Conchata, I brought you here to talk about the project, the one that got away. Ideally, we shoot this on 70 millimeters. Not some digital facsimile, mind you, that flatters nothing and exposes everything with a dreadful, sterile clarity. No, I mean true, glorious, expensive 70 millimeters film. The kind that breathes, that has a soul, that captures light like a painter captures a sigh. We need that depth, Conchata, that gravitas. Because this isn't just a film, dear girl. Oh no, this is a reckoning. A whisper that becomes a roar. My roar, perhaps, or the roar I always should have been allowed. The one that kept stuffing back down with silly wigs and pratfalls, like a misbehaving child at a society dinner. The title, darling, is Mnemosyne's Echo. Conchata Ferrell. Nemo. What now? That sounds important. And complicated. Cloris Leachman. Mnemosyne, Conchata, is the Greek goddess of memory. The mother of the muses. The very wellspring of inspiration. The wellspring of all knowing. And this film, this is about the last echo of her in our blighted, forgetful age. An age obsessed with the instant, the disposable, the utterly forgettable. We open, Conchata, and I want this burned into the audience's very retinas. On a single, desiccated tea bag. Still steeping, mind you, in a chipped porcelain cup. Steam long since vanished, a ghost of warmth. On a rickety, paint-peeling table, by a window through which a faint, pale light, the color of weak tea itself, struggles to penetrate. Dust motes, tiny, insignificant universes, dance in the sliver of sun that manages to breach the grime. They are oblivious. Utterly, beautifully oblivious. The quiet hum of ancient neglect, the very scent of forgotten stories, hangs heavy in the air. Panavision. Always Panavision. It's not just a camera, Conchata. It's a character. A silent, omniscient witness to the slow erosion of everything. A patient, unblinking eye that sees beyond the facade. And then, slowly, Agonizingly slowly, the camera drifts. Not a slick, modern swoosh. No, a graceful, almost reluctant float, like a spirit unwillingly leaving a sacred space. It pulls back, ever so subtly, revealing a room. My room. Or rather, Ilara's room. A veritable mausoleum of ephemera. Stacks of yellowed newspapers, precariously balanced, threatening to topple with a single breath. Towers of books, spine-cracked and forgotten, forming canyons and peaks of decaying knowledge. A gramophone horn, green with verdigris, like a startled trumpet in a forgotten symphony. And there, amongst the clutter, a figure. Me, not Cloris Leachman, the woman who once cavorted with Mel Brooks and endured the charms of Ted Knight. No, me as Ilara. Ilara, the titular echo, a woman, seemingly just another addled old bird. A relic herself, living in a house that time forgot, and the dust remembers. She hums. She talks to herself. She argues with the dust motes, believing them to be fragments of forgotten conversations. She has a perpetually bewildered expression, as if the world is a riddle she just can't quite piece together. And yet, paradoxically, she holds all the answers. They dismiss her, you see. Everyone does. The postman, the polite but distracted grocery delivery boy, the condescending niece who calls once a month to check if she's still breathing and if the will has been updated. Oh dear Ilara, bless her heart, gone a bit peculiar, hasn't she? They cluck. They smile. They pity. Oh, how they pity. And that, Conchata, is the absolute brilliance of it, 'cause Ilara seems like every one of those damn parts they kept throwing at me after the last picture show. The kooky old aunt, the zany neighbor, the thing in the corner that provides comic relief, the woman who falls down but isn't hurt. But Ilara remembers. She remembers everything. Not just her own paltry past, though that's there too, fractured and shimmering like broken glass. No. Conchata, Ilara, is the living conduit to all memory. The collective unconscious made flesh, struggling to contain itself. Every whisper, every forgotten battle, every stolen kiss, every lost empire, every discarded thought that has ever existed in the human experience, it resides within her. She is the archive. The unseen archive. And the clutter of her house? It's not just junk, Conchata, it's a mnemonic device. Each dust-covered trinket, each crumbling page, each threadbare tapestry is a physical anchor for a vast, terrifying ocean of truth. A lifeline to prevent her from drowning in the sheer immensity of it all. Conchata Ferrell. So she's like a walking, talking internet? But for everything? And she feels it? Cloris Leachman. Better, darling. Far, far better. The internet merely stores. Ilara feels. She experiences. She is the echo. She carries the weight of every triumph, and every unspeakable horror, every tender moment, and every brutal betrayal. Imagine, Conchata, the burden, the sheer, crushing weight of knowing every secret, every shame, every act of grace, every moment of pure, unadulterated human folly and genius that has ever been, and having to live with it, daily, while pretending to be concerned about the price of turnips, or whether the cat has eaten the last sardine. That, my dear, is drama. That is tragedy. That is the unplumbed depth of the human condition, trapped in a body they perceive as nothing more than a punchline. There's a moment, a pivotal scene. A young, earnest historian, Dr. Eris Thorne, played, naturally, by a very handsome, slightly arrogant young man with too many degrees and too little wisdom, the kind who thinks a Google search is research, comes to interview her. He's doing a piece on local folklore, some quaint little study of regional eccentricities. He expects to find a charming, senile old woman, a repository of harmless local myths, perhaps a cute quote or two for his thesis. He brings his digital recorder, his skeptical smile, his carefully prepared, utterly inadequate questions. And, Ilara, could you tell me about the legend of the weeping stone down by the old mill? Some say it's an ancient burial site, perhaps a druidic relic. Oh, the stone. Yes. The stone remembers. Not of burials, dear boy, no. That stone remembers the silence of the first man, the taste of primordial dew on his tongue, the fear in his gut when he first saw his own reflection in the still water. It remembers the slow, glacial grind of continents, the birth pangs of the mountains. It remembers the longing in the heart of a Neanderthal, who carved a flute from a bone, a lament that echoes even now, if you listen very, very closely. It remembers the secret sorrow of the first tree, the quiet joy of the first raindrop. It remembers before memory, when only being existed. And Eris Thorne, bless his little academic heart, he's fumbling with his recorder, thinking she's having a moment, thinking of calling a nurse. But then, he hears it. A low hum. A vibration that originates not from the house, but from the very earth beneath it. The stone itself, outside the window, begins to weep. Not water, but a fine, crystalline dust, like tears of ancient knowledge, shimmering in that pathetic sliver of light. And he realizes, oh, he realizes, the gravity of it, terror of it. The sublime, terrifying beauty. He's not talking to an old woman, he's talking to the living consciousness of time itself. Conchata Ferrell. My God, Cloris, that's something else. That's not a comedy. Not a single laugh in that. Cloris Leachman. No, Conchata, it is not a comedy. It is a profound existential drama, a psychological thriller, wrapped in the decaying lace of memory and the frayed tapestry of time. It asks, what is the true burden of knowledge? What happens when the past isn't just history, but a living, breathing, agonizing presence? And what does it mean to be dismissed, to be seen as nothing, as merely an old fool, when you are, in fact, everything? When you are the very foundation upon which reality is built? The climax, Conchata. Oh, the climax. Cloris, now fully aware, utterly terrified, desperately trying to protect her, to understand her, to use her, for he is still a man after all, and men seek to conquer even the cosmos, discovers that Alara is not merely a vessel for memory, she is a lock. A living, breathing, agonizing lock on the dam of memory. And there are forces, ancient and malevolent, forces of pure oblivion, that wish to shatter that lock, to unleash the full, unfiltered torrent of human history, both good and evil, upon an unsuspecting, unprepared world. Because the world has forgotten how to feel it all, it has become numb. And Alara, this frail, seemingly dotty old woman, must make a choice to protect humanity from its own unbearable truth, to keep the chaos contained, or to let it all come crashing down, to witness the final, glorious, terrifying flood. She stands there, in the crumbling library of her mind, surrounded by the echoes of millennia, facing a choice that would break a god. And she does it with the quiet dignity of a woman who has endured too much, seen too much, and remembers it all. There's no witty one-liner, no slapstick fall, just the profound silence of decision. Etched onto a face that has seen empires rise and fall, stars ignite and fade. It is a portrait of strength, Conchata, not the superficial strength of youth, but the terrible, beautiful, enduring strength of absolute knowing, a knowing that transcends laughter, transcends tears, transcends even life and death. That is the Cloris I want the world to see. The Cloris I know is there, beneath the layers of comedic masks. The one who remembers how to feel everything. To be everything. And then, darling, fade to black with perhaps the faintest hum. A resonance. The world, still reeling, having just glimpsed the abyss, unsure if it was a dream or a revelation. The credits roll over a single, unfurling fern frond, slowly, exquisitely opening to the light, symbolizing the ongoing, endless flow of life, memory, and forgetting, destined to repeat itself. It will leave them breathless, Conchata, They will remember Ilara. And they will remember me. Or they'll think I've finally lost my marbles. One or the other, eh? But at least they'll think about it. And isn't that what art is for, darling? To make them think? Conchata Ferrell. That is a lot. But hear mine.
Ideally, we shoot this on 70 millimeters, widescreen. Not for grandeur, you understand, but for detail, for the grit in the corners, the lines on a face, the way light hits dust motes in a forgotten room.
Oh my dear, 70 millimeters. That's ambitious. I remember when we did Young Frankenstein. The crispness. But what a production. What film are we talking about, sweetie? You've been sitting there stewing, haven't you? I can almost hear the gears turning in that head of yours.
The Salt Keeper. That's what it's called. It came to me one Tuesday while I was scrubbing grout. Which, makes a person think about foundations, about what holds things together. Or what lets them fall apart.
The Salt Keeper? Oh, that's intriguing. Like a librarian, but for seasoning? Is it a culinary drama? You always were such a practical cook. I could see you as the keeper of ancient recipes.
No, Cloris, it's not about recipes. Not in the way you're thinking. We open on a singular, gnarled hand. My hand, to be exact. The camera is locked in close. A Panavision anamorphic lens, catching the exquisite detail of every line, every age spot, every testament to a life lived in relentless, unvarnished truth. The knuckles are swollen, the nails clean, but worn. It cradles a smooth, gray river stone, just a plain, unassuming rock. But in the frame, under that lens, it looks like a relic, something ancient and profoundly important.
Goodness, that's quite specific. And rather beautiful. A relic, you say? Already I'm sensing a gravitas. You always had such presence, Conchata, even when you were just holding a tea towel.
The scene is silent, except for the distant, almost imperceptible groan of old wood. Dust motes dance in a solitary shaft of sunlight that cuts through the gloom of what will later reveal is a small, cluttered, deeply ancient general store. The hand turns the stone over, slowly, thoughtfully. It's heavy, solid, unyielding. Then, a voice. My voice. Low. Resonant. Weathered. Not a voice you'd hear giving directions to the produce aisle. More like a voice that's seen too much, understood too much, and just endures.
Oh, now I'm getting chills. Like a grand, sweeping epic, but contained, intimate. Is this a historical piece? Perhaps a woman in the Wild West, holding on to her last nugget of gold?
It's now. And it's always been. The story is about Ilara, that's me, the salt keeper. She's not a housekeeper, Cloris. She doesn't clean other people's messes. She's not cooking meals for a wealthy family. Ilara runs this old general store, tucked away in a valley that time has mostly forgotten, and on the surface, she's just another quiet, practical woman. Observant. A little gruff. You know the type. The kind people walk past without really seeing, assuming they know her whole story. The kind who gets a few lines, a knowing look, and then steps back into the scenery.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. You're taking that perception and cracking it open. Brilliant.
Precisely. Ilara, in her quiet way, is holding the world together. Not the big, loud, exploding building world. The other one. The one that exists in the forgotten stories, the fading memories, the very essence of things. The salt of the earth, as they say. Not just a phrase. In my film, it's real. It's what gives life its flavor, its grit, its memory. And it's disappearing. Fading. Like an old photograph left too long in the sun.
Oh my, that's profoundly sad. A slow decay. Not a sudden bang, but a quiet, creeping loss. That's almost more terrifying. What happens when the salt is gone?
When the salt is gone, Things become bland, meaningless. People forget their histories. They lose their capacity for genuine sorrow or true joy. They just exist. Complacently, the colors dull. The laughter hollows. The future holds no promise because the past holds no lesson.
Ilara sees it. She feels it. She's been noticing it for decades.
The subtle shift, the way folks don't remember old Mrs. Gable's prize-winning roses from last year, or the specific shade of a summer sunset from their childhood, or the taste of a truly good apple. It's not just forgetting, it's a severing, a disconnection.
So she's a keeper of memory? Of essence? That's a terribly heavy burden for one person. It makes sense why you'd want to play her. You always had that sense about you, of seeing the layers others missed.
That's the point. She's not a mystic in the traditional sense, waving crystals. She's just aware. Grounded. Connected to the fundamental, messy truth of existence. The salt isn't some magical potion. It's the grit, the struggle, the laughter that comes after tears, the recognition of beauty in the mundane. And Ilara, without even realizing how or why, has become its custodian. She collects these river stones. Each one is a vessel for a specific memory, a specific grain of salt from the world. A memory of a first kiss under a willow tree, the feeling of sun on bare skin after a long winter, the smell of rain on hot pavement.
She keeps them in jars, labeled in her precise, old-fashioned script.
Her general store isn't just selling necessities, it's a living archive, a quiet defiance against the encroaching blandness.
Oh, this is magnificent. So she's not performing grand acts, but preserving small, vital truths. And you, Conchata, you are the perfect vessel for that. You could make a single glance convey 1,000 years of accumulated wisdom.
The plot, such as it is, unfolds through her observations. A young, cynical journalist, Maya, comes to the valley writing a story about forgotten Americana. She's sleek, modern, disconnected. She sees Ilara as a quaint relic. But Ilara sees Maya as a symptom, a mind already partially desalted.
Through their interactions, Ilara tries to show her,
Not with grand speeches, mind you, but by letting her taste an apple that still remembers the sun, or showing her a jar with the salt of a mother's lullaby. The story is about Maya's slow awakening and Ilara's quiet, desperate battle to save enough salt to rekindle a spark.
So, it's a slow burn. A psychological unraveling, not of Ilara, but of the world around her, and the young woman who encounters her. You'd bring such an unspoken depth to that, not histrionics, just sheer, profound knowing.
No histrionics. Not a single tear shed. Ilara's sorrow is too deep for tears. It's a quiet ache, a determination. My performance would be in the stillness, the gaze, the deliberate pace, the weight of every simple action. The camera wouldn't cut away from me. It would hold on my face as I watch a forgotten child's drawing flutter down the street, understanding the gravity of that loss. It would hold on my hands as I polish a smooth river stone, pouring all the world's quiet hope into it. It's a character who doesn't need to say much, because everything she is speaks volumes. A woman who knows the fragility of existence, not from books, but from living it, from seeing the slow erosion of meaning.
Oh, Conchata, this is stunning. Utterly stunning. It speaks to something so fundamentally human but also so cosmic. What does Ilara do in the end? Does she save the world?
She doesn't save the world in the way they put it in the big pictures. No grand gestures, no triumphant music. She saves a world. One person at a time, perhaps. She preserves enough. Enough to remind. Enough to spark a memory in someone else. Enough for the salt to lie dormant, waiting for a time when people are ready to truly taste again. The film ends on that close-up again. My hand. The river stone.
but this time,
a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor. The fight is never truly over, but the keeper endures.
Oh, Conchata, that is powerful and so utterly you. It's the antithesis of everything they ever had you do on television, yet it feels like the true extension of your spirit, that quiet strength, that knowing wisdom. It's a masterpiece.
Well, I wrote it. I even had a director in mind. A quiet type, good with faces and shadows. Someone who understands that sometimes the most dramatic thing on screen is a woman simply looking.
And did anyone bite? Did you get a studio interested?
They said it was too quiet, too internal, not enough external conflict. One executive asked if we could make the salt glow, or if Ilara could have a martial arts background so she could protect the salt with her fists.
Oh, the indignity! Protect the essence of humanity with kung fu. Good heavens.
Exactly. They wanted a spectacle. I wanted a contemplation. They wanted a hero. I wanted a witness. So, it sits in a drawer. A little desalted itself, perhaps, from the neglect.
What a tragedy. It truly is a work of quiet brilliance. It's just, they're not ready for it, are they? Hollywood? Still too loud, too flashy. They don't know how to appreciate the slow bloom of a profound truth.
No, not yet. Maybe never. Some things aren't meant for the widescreen, I suppose. Some truths are meant to be whispered.
Well, my dear, thank you for sharing that whisper with me. It's the most beautiful story I've heard in ages. We should have a drink. And lament the blindness